So we're here today with Andre from TFLtruck, and he's taking a look at the CyberTruck. I kind of wanted to just see what your initial thoughts were. I know you haven't driven it yet, we'll get to that, but just your initial thoughts on it being parked and you kind of playing around with it for a little bit.
Well, thanks for having us here, first of all. This is really great. This is my first kind of in-person look at the CyberTruck. And you already wrapped it.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
So actually, it looks, this wrap looks really amazing.
You like it?
Yeah.
Well, the guys at Mike's Tint Shop, Ivan and all those guys, to me, I've never had anything wrapped. They killed it. I mean, this is just...
This looks like it came out from the factory. I mean, the metallic look on the strap.
And that's what I wanted to keep. I wanted to keep that metal look.
So first of all, when I walked around the corner, right? Thanks for inviting us, by the way.
Of course.
This truck looks like a concept vehicle to me. You know what I'm saying? Like if you were at an auto show and you saw like this concept truck on a rotating table, right? This is kind of what it looks like to me in real world. And it's hard to tell the size of it, right? It's kind of hard to tell the size off of the video, but it's, I mean, it looks really manageable and kind of a good proportion to me.
Yes.
I was just measuring, before we started talking, I just measured the wheelbase because I wanted to double check it. And it's basically the same as an F-150 crew cab. So it kind of has that size between a half-ton truck and really like a Tacoma, you know, something smaller.
And that's what Elon talked about, right? Is that he kind of modeled it after the F-150.
Yeah, well, he has to. I think he had to because it's the best-selling vehicle, right?
Yeah.
So if you want to sell a lot of these, you want to start with a leader, right?
Yeah.
So
definitely.
So I think it's a little bit shorter overall, but then the seating position is interesting. I was sitting inside of this truck. I like the driver position better than the passenger.
Okay.
Just for me, just kind of for my height and stuff. But I was looking out, and I couldn't see these corners from the driver position.
It's hard to judge.
So it's hard to judge where my truck is, like parking. I know it has cameras, right? So the cameras will help.
Yes.
But that was my first impression. I'm like, how do I know where my corner is and how do I maneuver it?
And one thing I've noticed is there's no parking sensors.
Mm-hmm.
So when pulling into a garage, that's one thing that I've noticed is that, you know, those parking sensors. So you're 100% right. You have cameras, but you don't have the sensors.
I have a love-hate relationship with parking sensors because sometimes they overreact. You know, and they start beeping and they're like,
they're yelling
I know where I am, you know, why are you beeping at me?
Yeah.
But also sometimes it's nice to have, right?
Yes.
Sometimes it's kind of nice to have. So, but if we can walk this way, I think the bed, like it's good and bad. I mean, it's pretty large.
Yeah.
I measured it. It's a 6-foot floor, and you could put a 4x8 piece of material in here. You've loaded some pallets in here, right?
I have. Yep.
So, and you measured full payload.
Yes, I took it to the max. I took it to the max just to see how it would handle it, and it did a good job.
So those are the good things. The bad thing is this, you know, when you try to reach your cargo, right? It's not easy to do.
No.
I love the tie downs. Lots of tie downs. I love that. But these require a special tool, like a hex tool.
Yes.
To move.
Yes.
But like when you're in the field, are you gonna like really tinker with the hex tools?
Yeah.
So I love a lot about it, but also no spare tire.
No. Nope. Does not have a spare tire.
Do you do a lot of off-roading?
I do not. No.
Yeah.
No.
So that could be an issue, like if you're going deep off the beaten path, right? Because normally, I mean, these tires are pretty tough, but stuff happens off-road, so you have to like mount the tire inside or outside somewhere, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but overall, the hitch is kind of hidden a little bit. So I have to get on my knee and like hook it up.
When I noticed when I did my tow video that with my Ram, I'm able to put the tailgate in.
And then work on the hitch.
And even having it hooked up.
Okay.
My trailer's hitched up, and I can still use my tailgate. Here, absolutely not, because it's pushed in, so the trailer is just naturally forward more.
Yeah.
That
and the tailgate will hit your trailer tongue or whatever. You know, I noticed this also on the Rivian, because when we're towing with the Rivian truck, a lot of the same stuff. I mean, the hitch is really hidden underneath, and I think it's for off-roading, because in the off-road situation, you want clearance under here, and I know they're worried about like departure angles and all that stuff. So it's hard to have both, right? It's hard to have really good towing ability and also off-road ability. So, but overall, I think it looks really cool.
Nice.
How's charging? Have you charged it up much?
Yeah, I've charged it. I mean, I've gone to superchargers and I've charged it at home, and I mean, it does what it's supposed to do. Now, I did make a video on just the miles per hour in the app, but I think that's more of a UI issue, not so much a truck issue or a hardware issue. But yeah, I mean, it charges. I can't wait till they get the 350 unlocked.
Right.
You know, that would really help.
Especially for long trips or towing
Yeah, when
trailers.
you're towing, you need to get back on the road.
They also need to create more pull-through chargers, right?
That's something I talked about in my tow video, is that we went to a pull-through supercharger, and it's great, but one thing that I noticed is as we were getting ready to leave, a regular Model S, I think it was, pulled into one of them and, you know, plugged in to charge.
Without a trailer.
Without a trailer,
Yeah.
no. And so that could be an issue.
You know, I've been noticing it for 20 years because I used to drive a Chevy Duramax truck, right? You have a Cummins.
Yes.
And at the normal gas station, you pull up and there's a little car sitting at the pump where the diesel fuel is.
Yes.
And you're like, it's a diesel pump. Can you?
Yeah,
can you like move, can you move forward one?
Yeah. That happens.
It's gonna happen forever.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll fix that.
Well, hopefully, there could be a way where they can program those to where it can sense what
it
vehicle
recognizes
is.
the
Yeah,
truck,
and
yeah.
it goes, hey, you shouldn't be
Like remind you,
Yeah.
hey, there's a one open right here,
Exactly.
next to it,
Exactly.
or something. Yeah, but overall, like online, I was looking at build quality on CyberTrucks, but this particular, your truck, it looks pretty clean. I mean, the gaps look fairly good. I know maybe the door gap is a little there,
a little off, yeah.
but I did not notice it coming up to the truck.
No.
Like if
I had to point that out.
yeah, if I like zoom in on it, I could see it, but overall, I think the build quality is pretty good.
Yeah, I'm happy with it.
So I just kind of wanted to, touch base with you and get your opinions on the CyberTruck. You took it for a drive, you towed a little bit with it. I just wanted to see what your thoughts, your initial thoughts were after getting behind the wheel.
Yeah, thanks, dude. Again, so yeah, I've had a few days to think about it, right? So this has been like 4 or 5 days ago, or so, and I definitely one thing stood out in a big way, which was it rides pretty comfy. You know, I would equate it to like a more recent Cadillac or something like that, like an Escalade. Or just kind of a traditional American comfy ride. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That kind of stood out to me. And also, it was about the same, no matter if I was, like, when we went just driving around for lunch, unladen or with a trailer. So I felt like the ride was kind of comfy both times.
Yeah, and I think I noticed the same, where whether, I've done a video where I put cargo and a pallet of product in the back of the truck. I've towed with it, and then I've just driven it just as is. And I haven't really noticed much of a difference in any of those when it comes to the ride quality and comfort. So
yeah, and I think that's a kind of a testament to the air suspension, right? I think some other, not all, I mean, air suspension doesn't automatically mean that it's going to be comfy, right? But you could tune it, with the shocks and the way the springs are set up, to where it can be comfy. And so I think it kind of leans on the comfortable side, which is good. And there could be a bad side to it when towing, right? If it's too soft, too comfortable, you could have some sway, but I never felt that in the CyberTruck. So I think they did a good job with the suspension. Then another thing stood out to me is kind of the feedback noise from the motors. So the sound that kind of stood out to me. It's a little bit louder than like a Rivian truck or like a Hummer EV and so on. It's a little bit louder than those, which is good because I think one of the main complaints is electric trucks or vehicles are too quiet, right? And so I was thinking, how can we improve that, right? How can manufacturers do that? And I think Tesla, I mean, I haven't talked to their engineers about this, but it seems like Tesla kind of thought about this. But there are moments where the sound, the feedback from the motors is maybe a little bit too much. Like it's either too loud or it's a little bit too, I don't know, like strained.
Yeah.
In general, I think I like that feedback. You know, when you're behind that Cummins, you know, when you're driving the Cummins truck, you get all that feedback from it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you think about the the sound level of it?
No, well, I think we talked about it, right? Doing the decibel and checking how loud it was. It's on par with regular pickup trucks.
Yeah,
And
it is.
so it
But like,
is.
but you could hear the motors a little bit more, I think.
You definitely can hear them, and yeah, I drive Cummins, right? And I enjoy. If anything, they've made them too quiet, right? I mean that old school, you hear that engine going. I mean that's a classic sound, and for mine, it's like sometimes I'm driving and I go, I want to hear a little more.
Yeah,
So having that in the Cybertruck, having some noise, I mean, it's not a bad thing. I don't think.
I agree. It's just like sometimes you hear different things. Like in some vehicles, like in the Hummer, because it's really kind of a blocky and square, right?
Uh-huh.
You can hear
Yeah.
wind noise. You know, at higher speeds, like highway speeds, you can definitely
Yeah.
hear some of the wind noise around the windscreen, the windshield, and the mirrors. This was different. Like you don't hear a lot of wind noise, right?
Right.
But you hear other sounds. So I think that struck me also. That like that was the second thing that kind of um, was unique about it.
Yeah. Now, what about the steering wheel? What are your thoughts on that?
Uh, it's it took me a while to get used to, and I don't
Yeah.
know if I'm used to it yet. You know, after spending a couple hours with you um,
Yeah.
behind the wheel. So I think, well, first of all, it feels like a little smallish, like
It
overall.
is. Yeah.
Um, I don't know. Have you gotten used to it? I mean, I think the difference is the variable ratio steer by wire. Um,
Yeah.
you don't have to really let go. You can just kind of go, you know,
Well, I
without.
think you said it. It's like a video game,
Yes,
right?
it's a video. It felt like a video game controller,
Yeah.
except like a large video game controller. Um,
Yeah.
but so that was a little weird. Driving on the highway, it felt totally cool, you know, because you're not
Yeah.
making big adjustments, right? You're not making significant steering inputs. But like around parking lots, like driving around parking or to the store and back, um, I think it'll take me a little bit to get used to because I
Yeah.
tried to like switch my hands over it, you know,
Yeah.
and it's kind of a square thing. So it was kind of strange. Um, but I think with a little bit of time, I think you can kind of get to know it.
Well, I think it's kind of like the one pedal driving, right? Initially, there's an adjustment period. You got to get used to that. It's so untraditional that it takes that time to get used to it on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be the same thing with the steer-by-wire, number one, and most importantly, but then the steering wheel itself, I mean, I like it. You know, I've been driving it. You know, I just surpassed 1,400 miles, I think, yesterday. And so I'm enjoying it. But yes, it's definitely something, especially when you're used to driving trucks. It's not what you would think a truck would have.
Yeah, and I mean, you also drive box trucks, right? And
Yes.
and traditionally, you know, they have really big steering wheels.
Yeah,
You know?
huge.
It's like a bus, right? You're like, oh, yeah.
Definitely.
Stepping from a box truck into this, definitely there's my
It's
wife,
definitely.
we like a couple of years ago we bought a BMW i3, which you know,
Okay.
car, and my wife's been driving it, commuting in it to work and back, and um, it kind of fits her lifestyle. You know, she commutes for work and comes back and goes to the store once in a while, and but she now loves one pedal driving, right? So she's like, she almost never touches the brake pedal. You know, she accelerates, she comes to a stop, uses cruise control or whatever. And then she jumps into another vehicle like my Chevy Colorado, right? And she's like, why do I have to push the brake pedal, right? It's
Yeah.
really strange. So you definitely get used to
You're
those.
a caveman. That's why you're a caveman.
Oh boy. Yeah. So you
What
definitely
the brake pedal? Come on.
no, you know how Flintstone would put their feet out, right? And they would actually
Yeah.
put their feet to stop it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So what you're saying is we need to go back to
No, no, that's not what I'm saying. Well,
that.
I actually like one pedal driving because
Yeah.
behind in my mind, in the back of my mind, I kind of know like I'm regaining energy, right? So I'm you know I'm gaining a little bit back, and it feels good. So especially towing a trailer like down the mountain, like we do at the iGauntlet, using Regen to slow down, you actually gain significant amount of energy usually. So we haven't tested the CyberTruck on the Ike yet, but hopefully that will come soon. But in other pickups like the F-150 Lightning, oh my gosh, you could gain a lot of energy, like 9 or 10 kilowatt hours coming down the mountain. So, um, so I like that feature for sure.
But also that's like a video game, right? When you're doing it and you're getting that regen and you see that, you know, on the screen, you feel like you're getting a high score, right? So that kind of becomes something.
Yeah, yeah, totally. In fact, they could do something about that, right? Like you could share that with your friend, right? And you could say, well, you know, I went skiing yesterday and I gained this much energy or whatever, you know? So I think they could add to that maybe in the future, and it could be kind of fun.
I've never heard anybody say that, but that's actually a great idea. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Just being able to press the screen and share it with friends and
Yeah.
make it a little competitive thing.
Yeah, I got this idea, like we had the Draghi 0 to 60 GPS device, measuring 0 to 60s, and there's like a little feature where like you do a 0 to 60 run or a quarter mile, and then you can share it with friends, right? You could say, you know, here's what I did. So I mean, those kind of systems are out there. So I think more manufacturers can use a little bit of that, and in their vehicles, right?
Yeah. Well, you brought up the Ike. So what do you think, or how do you think the CyberTruck would handle the Ike?
I think quite well. So I was thinking about this a lot. I made a mistake, my calculation of energy usage in my towing. I divided the wrong way. But anyways, what it should have been, like you saw on the screen there in my towing video with the CyberTruck, it was 1.1 miles per kilowatt hour. So we weren't going very fast, right? You know, in the loop that you and I did, we did a little bit of city driving, and then we towed at about 55-ish miles an hour. So normally in Colorado, obviously we have higher speeds. And the test we usually do we go from Boulder up towards the Ike, which is about 72 miles. That's climbing all the way, basically. Then we run the Ike, which is about 20 miles or so combined, maybe 22. And then we come back down to home. Coming back down, you almost don't use any energy. I mean, you some, but normally in an electric vehicle, coming back down, you could save a lot of energy, especially when towing, because the trailer is kind of adding weight and pushing you, adding energy, right?
Yep.
I don't know if the CyberTruck would make the entire trip without charging, because that's about 170 miles ish, give and take, but it might. So a truck that we had that did it with about 80 or 8,200 pounds, just over 8,000 pounds, the Rivian did that trip without charging. And that has a slightly bigger battery, right? A little bit bigger battery than the CyberTruck, but it's also a little bit heavier. The Rivian truck is a little bit heavier than the CyberTruck. So I'm thinking the CyberTruck could do really well. I just don't. I guess it could depend on the weather a little bit, if it's cold or really hot. And I still don't know how much regen it does. Like we did a little bit of regen testing, right? You and I, on our trip, it slowed down fine in most circumstances. And I think it will not have a lack of power. Obviously, it has plenty of power. So it will never have a lack of power, but I feel good about it. I think doing the Ike, it'll be successful.
Well, I'm definitely looking forward to that because, the Ike is the ultimate, right? And so that's kind of going to give people that really good idea of how the CyberTruck deals with those extreme situations. So hopefully you guys get your CyberTruck sooner than later, and you guys can film that and share that with everyone. So then let me ask you before we wrap up, the CyberTruck being a truck, there's a lot of people that don't like to hear that, right? They don't like to hear CyberTruck because they say it's not a truck. What's your opinion? Is it a truck?
Well, my definition of a truck or a pickup truck, let's qualify that, right? Because when I say truck, some people, frown. They say only semi-trucks are trucks, right? So my definition of a pickup truck is a vehicle with a bed where you can put things into, like a separate area, like a Ridgeline. Honda Ridgeline is a pickup truck. Ford Maverick is a pickup truck because it has a separate area where you can put cargo, and you could also tow trailers, various sizes of trailers, but you could pull something behind it. So by that definition, the CyberTruck is a pickup truck for me, because it can do all those things. It can handle the payload. It can, can carry that around. There's plenty of tie-down points, like we showed in the bed. It can pull a sizable trailer. So I think for me, it is a pickup truck. But I think where people struggle, like, all the comments we see, I think it's I think a pickup truck also in people's mind is like, can do anything, anytime, right? That's kind of the spirit, or the spirit of a pickup truck is that you can go anywhere, do anything, anytime. You can help people out, you can move couches, you can go off-road. And because of the range question, right? The range is still a question. I think that's where people struggle because, 300 miles of range or so or less under load, right? Plus the recharge times, I think people question that. For me, I would say it's a pickup truck. Especially after towing a trailer with you, it's really confident. There's no sway. It's comfortable. So I say yes.
Okay, I agree with you. but who am I? So that's why I wanted to ask you.
Cool.
Last question for you is, who would you recommend the CyberTruck to?
So I can't answer that completely because I've never off-roaded it. You and I didn't have a chance to. And I haven't experienced it off-road. So I
Okay.
can't form a full opinion because like we said, Tesla says it's a pickup truck for, as good or better than other pickup trucks. I think we answered part of that question, but for me at least, the outline question is like, what about traction? Why are the differential lockers, why are they still coming? Why aren't they here already? That type of thing. So right now, I wouldn't like say if you don't have a lot of range needs, CyberTruck will meet like everything you can throw at it. I can't say that now, but I think once again, there's a caveat, right? If you live in the middle of North Dakota or Wyoming and you need to drive 400 miles a day, that's not a vehicle for you, right?
No.
If you are, towing trailers from Detroit to Upper Peninsula for summer vacation, and there's not a lot of infrastructure up there, that's probably not a vehicle for you. But like I think in many other cases, like I said, it's a pickup truck, so it will do the work you want it to. It could actually power things up, right? Like we showed, you powered your camping trailer with it, including the microwave and the heater and the air conditioner and all the other things.
And that toast.
Yeah. So you could use it as like a recovery vehicle, right? You could help other electric cars with it. You could do a lot of things. I could recommend it to many people, but once again, I want to wait until we are able to test it off-road. And I want to wait until they give us locking differentials, and then make a decision.
Yeah, that's one thing that it's missing a lot of features right now, and that's typical of Tesla. They kind of do slow rollouts with their new vehicles. I remember when I got my Model 3, it was 2018, one of the newer ones, and it took a while to get things, and so they're doing that with the CyberTruck. It's, I wish they didn't. I just got back from a 900+ mile road trip, and I would have loved to have had the autopilot, but it's coming.
Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah. Well, hopefully, they're usually pretty good at updates, right? As far as I know.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't been an owner of a Tesla. We've owned several of them at the office. And they're usually pretty good at updates. So I'm really hoping that, they act quickly and, give you and all the other owners quick updates.
Yeah, I do too. Well, Andre, I appreciate your time. I appreciate you coming back days later and doing this for me. Thank you. And I can't wait till you guys get yours.
Yeah.
And you guys put it through the ringer, do extreme stuff with it, and you get, share that with everybody, because I'm looking forward to it.
Appreciate it, man. Yeah. Once again, thank you for inviting us. Thank you for the opportunity. I loved it. And we've done a couple of videos already together, so that's awesome. And I haven't had an email from Tesla yet, so I'm still waiting.
Okay.
So hopefully they'll
remember, they don't email. They're gonna call you. They're gonna call you.
Okay. I'm waiting. So Tesla, if you're watching, please call me.
Please do. Call Andre.
All right. Thanks.
All right, Andre. I appreciate it. Yeah, you have a good night. Get some rest.
Thanks a lot. I've been driving a lot.